Hey, Dr. Bill here. So as we approach the holiday season, I'd like to take a moment and just give you my heartfelt appreciation for all your support in following us on Meet the Mentor. It means the world to me and the Leap Foundation here. And we also hope that your holidays are filled with peace and happiness and world peace. This is such a critical time in our history. So let's just pray for peace. With that, we're going to go into our next Meet the Mentor. Now, for those of you who don't know why we do this because of the Leap Foundation.
LEAP is an entrepreneurship program for high school and college students aged 15 to 25 that we have taught at UCLA for the last 16 years. What do we teach? We teach students skills to be successful in life. And the coolest thing about LEAP is that I've asked so many of my celebrity patients and business leaders to come and help, and they do. We've had Mark Wahlberg, Paula Abdul, Michael Strahan, Kathy Bates, Anthony Hopkins, Apollo Ono, Eric Garcetti, Jason Alexander. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And these people come and share the secrets of their success with our LEAP students. Typically, we get about 500 to 550 students every summer, and we literally pack them with so much information. It's like drinking from a fire hose. And one of the parts that the students love most is when we bring in these mentors. So we started this Meet the Mentor series because we didn't want this to just be a one and done week. We wanted to do it throughout the year and continue to give these students great information from great mentors to teach them how to do businesses in every field you could ever imagine.
LEAP has typically been done at UCLA for the last 17 years. This year, we're making a leap. Cross town, 11 miles to USC. UCLA is building out an Olympic Village in the dorm, so they don't have room for us. Every single celebrity patient of mine that I've ever asked to come and speak at LEAP has said yes. And this year, we have the honor of having Sir Anthony Hopkins return. By the way, he has 2 big films coming out this year. He plays Sigmund Freud, and then there's a movie called One Life that he's starring in. And he told me personally that this is his favorite film he's ever done. It's actually the story of a gentleman in the UK who was able to derail a train with 669 Jewish children from Auschwitz to the UK, and he saved their lives. And these kids now have had kids who have had kids, and it's probably like 3,000 or 4,000 people that are still living because of this man's action. And the movie's all based on his life, which is super exciting. We also have Jason Alexander coming from Seinfeld. Amy Adams has said that she will come if she's available. Shay Mitchell said she will come if she's available. And a lot of other great business owners and leaders and whatnot. So if you're a parent or a student age 15 to 25 plus and are looking for an amazing summer program to go to, please check out LEAP, www.leapfoundation.com, and sign up today. In fact, parents, it's a perfect holiday gift. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Daniel Gestetner. Daniel is a seasoned entrepreneur with over 25 years of technology, retail, and consumer goods experience. In 2017, Daniel was part of the founding team for Byte. So he's kind of like a dentist, like me, but not really a dentist. It was a direct-to-consumer dental alignment brand. The team built the business over 3 years and then exited in December 2020, the year of the pandemic, for $1.4 billion. Not million, billion. You can go to www.byteme.com and learn more about the business. Daniel has spoken at many conferences around the world, been featured in many news outlets, and has represented the UK government as an ambassador for trade and industry in major advertising campaigns that they have run. Daniel's an active member of YPO, the Young Presidents Organization. That's where we met, and we are actually in our forum together. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So you're not a dentist. You knew nothing about dentistry. How did Byte happen?
Well, that's a great story. So in fact, it's a YPO story. So I met my business partner on a YPO trip. He was in the process of selling his company, and he said, I've got this idea for a new business. One of my friends is an orthodontist, and I was having dinner with him recently, and he was telling me how worried he was being disrupted, and that ultimately his patients would not need to come into the practice. They'd be able to do so much more online. And that was the genesis of the idea. So my business partner had the idea, and he said, I think we've got something here. Let's work out if there's a play, if we can make the economics work, because it's all very well and good having an idea, but can you make it work financially, and is it viable to do it at home? And that was the genesis of the idea that was the end of 2016.
Yeah. Okay. So as a dentist, I'm going to kind of enlighten our audience here. So typically, tooth movement was only done with braces, right? You put a bracket on a tooth and you push it into place. And as you're moving your tooth, the bone reforms, and it allows you to actually move a tooth into place, and then the bone reforms and holds it in place. We later found with Invisalign that you didn't have to put all these metal brackets on your teeth. You could actually use plastic trays that could gradually move the teeth. And so with Invisalign, you have trays that you change weekly or bi-weekly that continually push your teeth into place. When Invisalign started, they patented this technology, and they were pretty much the only show in town, right?
Yeah, they were.
When their patent expired, other companies were able to jump into the market, and that's what you did. So for me, what I'm going to ask you is, as a challenge, when you're doing Invisalign, you typically go to your dentist, and the dentist takes impressions.
Yeah.
Well, you can't take impressions at home. Or a dentist will scan you using a scanner. So how were you able to deliver a product at home where a patient didn't have to go to a dental office and get impressions made?
And that's a great question. So that was the first challenge. We were like, okay, we've got a product here. How do we deliver it to the customer? How do we get them to give us an impression of their teeth so that we can take a 3D rendering, we can create a teeth movement, and we can show them what their teeth would look like to sell them on the product? Well, we said, could we use an iPhone? Could we take the phone and take pictures and scan your teeth? And the answer is not today. At some point in the future, that'll probably be the case, or there will be something you can attach to your iPhone to take your own scan at home. But at the moment, that technology does not exist. So you can go to a dentist office and you can get a scan of your teeth. We thought, okay, could we have like a mobile unit, someone going out there and going into people's homes to scan their teeth? And we thought the issue with that is that's going to create a friction point. We can't create scale around something where someone's got to go to your physical home and take a scan. So we said, okay, what can we do? Well, for years, people have been taking molds of their teeth to get braces, not braces, to get gum shields for sports. So we thought, okay, can we take that same principle? Can we create a mold that they can take themselves at home and ship it into us? We create a 3D scan of it. And how's that going to work? So we started testing it. We realized that number one, yes, it would work, but we needed to do a really good instruction video. So like the ABC of how do you do it at home. Number two, we had to give them 4 different trays so that they could screw up the first one and the second one and still provide us with an accurate mold of their teeth. But ultimately, we proved that it worked and that customers, with the right material, with the right number of trays so they could make mistakes, with the right instruction video, they could actually take a mold of their own teeth.
So how do they, because I've actually never seen your product in person, how do they take the mold?
So you get these like trays. It's a plastic tray with 2 things of putty. You have to mix the putty in together, and again, there's a little video. It takes about 30 seconds. You roll the putty, you put it into the tray, you put the tray into your top teeth and bottom teeth, 1 each. You wait 60 seconds or something. You then take it out, and that's then created a mold of your teeth.
Got it.
So it's actually pretty straightforward.
Well, it's exactly what we do in the dental office.
It is, and then we were worried, well, how will the accuracy compare to what nurses are doing in a dental office? And actually, we found accuracy was just as good. Patients doing it themselves at home, the nurses doing it at the dental office.
And then you basically take these and make a series of aligners, just like Invisalign does.
Correct. So the mold gets shipped back to us. We send it off to our dental lab. We take a scan of it, 3D scan of it. We then we set up an office in Costa Rica to do treatment planning. And we did the treatment planning in our office there. We created that 3D visualization.
Right.
We'd send that to the customer and we'd say, if you subscribe to Byte, if you sign up for our product, this is what your teeth movement will look like. And that was the start of the process.
Okay, so I have a million questions. So first of all, do you ever get somebody whose bite is so bad that you just can't fix it?
Absolutely, yes. So,
And then you just like send them, oh my goodness, can you imagine getting a rejection letter from Byte?
yeah, I mean, absolutely. We could only treat mild to moderate cases. So,
no, I know
as
that.
you know,
I'm just asking, like, how do you send somebody a rejection letter?
I mean, it's what we do is we refer them. So we say, you know,
Okay.
you're not a candidate for Byte, but we can refer you to an orthodontist. So part of, as you know, you have to be licensed in, you know, orthodontics. And what we were doing was, you know, teledentistry. So we had to be licensed in every state. So we actually built a network of about 150 dentists and orthodontists
Oh,
around
got
the
it.
US that
Got
were
it.
licensed. And they actually had to approve every case. So we could only sign off a case if the dentist approved in that state, signed off the patient.
Got it. Okay, so you come up with a great idea. You work out an actual method to implement the idea. Now what? How do you go to market? And how do you actually like start getting customers?
Yeah, I mean, that's where, you know, it really comes down to execution. It's about hiring amazing people that really understand the space. And as you said before, you know, none of us on the founding team were dentists or orthodontists. So what do? We brought two, you know, amazing dentists and orthodontists on the team, and we leaned on their expertise. We built an advisory network of people that were experts in the field, and then we started building the team out of, you know, marketing, you know, product, insurance. You know, one of the key things here was insurance reimbursements. So we
Right.
hired someone who was an expert in the insurance reimbursement field. Building the dental network, you know, we had to work with these dentists, and we hired someone to own the building of that network.
And I'm sure that the orthodontic community embraced you with open arms.
Yeah. A couple of lawsuits later. I mean,
Yeah, well, let's talk about that.
yeah. So I think we actually had the advantage in this instance of not going first. So you talk about sometimes, you know, first mover advantage, and
Right.
I've also in previous incarnations, previous businesses had first mover advantage, and that can really work to your advantage. In other instances, actually, it doesn't work to your advantage. In this instance, it most certainly did not work. So first mover in the direct consumer space was Smile Direct Club. They launched about 2-3 years before us. They spent a vast sum of money creating the awareness. So what do the dental boards do? They went after them because they were the ones spending all this money, creating all this awareness. And they had to spend millions of dollars fighting it. And ultimately they won because there
Right.
was, you know, it was totally legal.
Yeah, and you rode on their coattails.
And we
It's-
rode on their coattails, so yeah.
If you've ever read the book about McDonald's, Burger King was brilliant. McDonald's would literally spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on every new location to make sure that the demographic and everything was perfect. And they had this solid gold record of success for never having a franchise fail. Burger King just built next door to McDonald's. They
Yeah.
didn't spend a penny.
Yeah.
They just, anytime a McDonald's went up, Burger King went next door.
And we were a similar example to that.
Exactly, that's what I brought it up.
Smile Direct was spending hundreds of millions of dollars.
I'm sure.
On top of funnel marketing, brand awareness. What were we doing? We were spending all our money, a fraction of what they spent because we self-funded it. They raised $1.2 billion. We
Right.
didn't raise any money. So we spent our money on having a better product, better customer experience, and the best #1 rated product in the US, so that when people went online, they did their search, and before spending $2,000-3,000, you're going to do your research online.
Right.
And they then went online and saw that actually Byte was the #1 rated product in the US.
Okay, so basically we call that build a better mousetrap. You know, when tooth whitening first hit the market, my company did not have, any presence at all. But what we did is exactly what you did, Daniel, is we spent our time, our energy, our resources to make the best tooth whitening product on the market. And, we had the best mousetrap.
Yeah.
And immediately our sales exploded, and we dwarfed the sales of all the other companies were dwarfed by our sales. So that was brilliant. Tell me some of the things you did that actually differentiated you guys from Smile Direct and made you have the advantage.
So number one, we really invested in people and customer service and experience.
Huge.
And that really was the defining moment for us, that we realized we had a better product than them. So a lot of people outsource their call centers, for example. Case in point, Smile Direct outsourced their call center. So you have a problem, or you have a question, or you're in that sales process, but you haven't yet made the buy decision. You call a number on their website, and you're speaking to a third party that's not employed directly by their business.
Right.
We thought that was a fundamental flaw. We thought we want to own these people. We want
Totally.
we want them in our office.
Totally.
We want to know. We want that firsthand. We want to be that touch point with the customer. So that was like the biggest first mover advantage for us on owning the customer journey, owning the customer experience, and that feedback, we had feedback, both negative and positive, we could respond instantaneously. We responded to, we didn't hide, a lot of other brands hide their, like Facebook, when people put negative comments out there, they hide them. We didn't hide them, but we responded to any comment, positive or negative.
Right.
We were super, upfront about the experience and the journey. And we took any constructive criticism. And because we were, founder-operated business, we could pivot as much as we wanted into any direction we wanted. So if things weren't working or we needed to shift slightly, we did it, and then the customer won.
I love that. You were nimble.
Very
You were
nimble.
nimble. And when I owned Discus Dental, we beat out all the biggest dental companies that were spending tens of millions of dollars because we were so nimble. It was me and Robert making decisions. And the second we saw something wasn't working, boom, we just shifted. Whereas they would have a board meeting and then another, and by the time they did that, we already killed them in whatever was going on at the time. That's so key. So you only had the company for what, 2 years, 3 years?
3 years. And to your point, we went from zero to a $1 billion exit in 3 years. We had no board, we had no external investors,
Crazy.
We had no structure. And in fact, this is a great one. We were on QuickBooks, which we hadn't even implemented,
oh my goodness.
A sophisticated financial
Crazy.
planning tool. We were literally on QuickBooks.
And how rapid were your sales?
They were crazy rapid. So our first year of revenue was 2019. We did about $15 million in revenue.
15.
15. Our second year was 2020, and we did over 120 million in revenue.
Wow.
And tens of millions of profit.
And
so it was $250 million.
Crazy.
So it was a great growth path, and now the business, obviously, we sold it to a big dental group, and it's still doing hundreds of millions of dollars, and it's growing, and they're very happy. So,
do you have any relationship with them at all, or are you completely out?
Completely out. A lot of our team stayed. All of our leadership team stayed when we sold the business. Most have subsequently left. It's been almost 3 years now.
Wow.
But yeah.
So let's switch gears for a second. You are a serial entrepreneur. This was not your first business, by far probably your biggest.
Yeah.
But how did you get started creating businesses and growing them?
I mean, I knew at kind of high school and college that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, that I wanted to start a business. But this was back in the kind of the 80s.
Right.
And this was before the internet. This was before you could literally start a business from your dorm. So, back in my day, selling products, for example, you had to have a physical store or you had a catalog, but you couldn't put something online and very quickly launch a business. So the advice I got when I was going through kind of into college and coming out of college was go and learn working for a big company first. You want to be an entrepreneur, great.
Smart.
But go and learn. So my first job, I went to work for Tesco, which is the biggest grocer in the UK. I joined their graduate training program. It was an amazing learning. And I blew through it, and it was a 2-year management training program. I managed to complete it in under a year and moved into head office, and I became a buyer at 22 years old. I was their cake buyer,
Nice.
which was pretty fun. But, so that learning, from somebody else definitely gave me the tools to be a better entrepreneur.
And your very, very, very first business was what?
So I left Tesco, went to join Revlon Cosmetics, spent a few years there running the marketing for Central Europe. 1997, I did a stint for them in New York. And the internet had launched, and I was trying to buy products online. And it was very difficult, and you had to know the exact URL. This is before Google, believe it or not. There was no Google. You had to know the exact URL to find a shop. And I thought, this is crazy. Came back to the UK end of 97 and started noodling on this idea to create a shopping portal. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if there was one place that people could go online to buy all their goods and services? And that was my first business. So I set up at the end of 1998. It's called shopsmart.com.
Kind of an Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon was one of our customers. So we created a comparison shopping engine. So if you wanted to go and buy something online, you come to ShopSmart, and we did a comparison in real time. We created a robot that would crawl the web and find everyone's pricing and availability, and give you want to buy a 32-inch Sony TV. This is the price, all the different retailers. This is availability of the product. This is the reviews. And we were the first to do it. So that was my first business. I was 27 years old. Built the biggest shopping portal in Europe.
Oh, wow. And how long did you have that one?
Well, unfortunately, it didn't work out exactly the way we wanted it to work out. So we were at the forefront of an industry, first mover advantage, Web 1.0. It was crazy days. I went out there, I raised tens of millions of dollars, hired a lot of people, opened offices all over Europe, created a great business. We were about to list, we were about to IPO in 2000 for $500 million.
Right.
At the time, I owned a big chunk of the company, and on paper was worth a lot of money. And then the market collapsed a week before our IPO. So
was it because of Amazon, or?
No, actually, the stock market, the
the stock market collapsed.
The dot-com bubble burst in April 2000. So it was just about timing. Everything in life is timing, and we actually turned down a $250 million cash offer a month before for the business. But Goldman Sachs were taking us public, and they were like, no, you're going to go for $500 million, and you'll be worth $1 billion within a month or 3 months, based on the market comps. And
I've heard that story so many times, and that's why I keep saying a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush.
So we did end up selling the business a year later, but not for the hundreds of millions we almost sold for. And that was my first business. And having at such a young age, such a big exposure, I was, spokesperson on the BBC, Sky News, on tech. I headlined the Financial Times conference and various other conferences. And it was crazy days because it was so new. It's difficult to understand now, but no Google and these shopping portals. This was like the wild, wild west of the internet back in.
All right, so what's next? What are you working on now?
So my partners from Byte and I, we've just launched a new business in the connected fitness space. It's called alterme.com.
I've seen it, and it's awesome.
Thank you.
And you, by the way, look amazing. I hope you don't mind me sharing. He has made a major commitment to fitness. How much did you lose? Like 40 pounds?
30 pounds.
30 pounds. You look better than I've ever seen you. You look amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, that was like a personal transformation journey, which has been amazing. You turn 50 and you think, am I happy with how I am?
Yeah, let me know what it feels like to turn 50.
Obviously, I'm not there yet, but but Alterme was an idea to personalize fitness at home.
It's brilliant.
There's lots of fitness options out there, including Peloton and Tonal, and obviously you can go to a gym, but nobody has kind of personalized fitness and said,
Hey,
how
if
do
you need a 65-year-old fitness instructor, I'm available. Call my agent.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And if any students want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
I mean, again, via kind of LinkedIn, and if you put it in the notes, I'm happy for anyone to reach out and happy to chat and always happy to give advice.
And for those of you who are regulars on our Meet the Mentor, you have probably already listened to his son Harry's podcast, which we did. And we have some exciting news about Harry, which we forgot to mention in his podcast. Dad?
He just made the Forbes 30 under 30 in the last couple of days.
That's pretty amazing. Congratulations. You must be a very proud papa.
Job done. I mean, my two girls, they're at college, so I need to get them out into the workplace and what have you. But as a father, you know, this is our number one job, is to kind of build our kids up and give them more successes than we've had.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, it was great doing this with you. Thank you so much. I feel like you're a fellow dental brother here. If you need more information on LEAP, please go to www.leapfoundation.com. Have a great holiday season. Let's pray for world peace. Dr. Bill, over and out.